We are back with Lynn Klett from Cone Health. All right, before the break, we talked about the physical effects of candy overload, but let's talk about the behavioral, maybe the mental, emotional impacts that parents should be mindful of when their kids consume too much sugar.
Yeah, so by the time we get to trick-or-treating, a lot of kids have been at school all day, so we're already a little tired. We're already really pumped up and ready to go. And then there's the frustration of, what do you mean I can't have candy while we're trick-or-treating, or I have to wait until it's been looked at? Or the kiddos who are really sugared up from those classroom celebrations. It's not uncommon to have kiddos bouncing off the walls with just that hyperactivity sugar rush. The other thing we see are meltdowns, lots of temper tantrums, because those are really big emotions, and then you add in that sugar rush, and they're hard to handle emotions. So I always like that transition. Okay, we are going to leave the house in 10 minutes to go trick-or-treating. And then, once you kind of do your rounds around your neighborhood or wherever you're trick-or-treating at, you say, okay, we are 3 houses until we're done. And that gives the kiddo kind of that visual of, okay, 1, 2, 3. Once we hit that 3rd house, we're going to be done and head home. And that can help kind of bring some of those temper tantrums down a little bit, of setting those guidelines and saying, all right, this is what's coming next.
Right, the expectation.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not surprised.
Right. And then being prepared when you get home, knowing, okay, we are tired, we are over-sugared, we are overstimulated. It might be a little bumpy. So caregivers take that big deep breath and say, okay, here it comes, let's do this. And give yourself that moment to say, all right, it's a Halloween, it's a fun night, the kids are excited, let them run around the house for a few minutes, let them get that energy out. Give them one piece, a couple pieces of candy, because that's, they've worked hard for that candy. But be prepared.
Now, is there a time that you think that there should be a cutoff before they go to bed of not having any more sugary stuff?
Typically, I would say an hour before bedtime. Halloween night's probably a little bit different, just because by the time you get home and you sort through all the candy, it's already bedtime or past bedtime. So keep in mind, be mindful of, okay, here's a couple of pieces, enjoy it. But typically I would say an hour before bedtime. That way they work through that sugar rush. They have plenty of time to floss their teeth, brush their teeth, rinse their mouths, get ready for bed, and they're not in bed, with the sugar jitters.
Yeah, don't forget the flossing and the brushing that night for sure. For
Yes.
Children with dietary restrictions, medical conditions like you kind of touched on with diabetes, how can parents navigate the festivities without bringing negativity into it?
Yeah, so have your backup candy at home. If your kiddo is allergic to nuts, tree nuts, peanuts, all of the nuts, have candy at home that is allergen free. And when you're sorting through the candy, you trade them out. So you have 3 Reese's cups. Here are 3 pieces of candy that you're not allergic to.
Mm-hmm.
If for our diabetic kiddos, like I said, be prepared to cover with insulin based on the sliding scale that your endocrinologist has given you. So there are lots of ways to work around it, and making sure that they have that good Halloween or that good holiday, but still safely without having those trips to the ER.
All right, well, speaking of safety, let's kind of talk about some safety as a priority for trick-or-treating.
Definitely. I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Benny, in the factory.
I like him. What's he wearing?
So Benny is currently wearing a reflective vest. They're fantastic for anybody, but you'll see them a lot on early morning runners, walkers, exercisers, because it has this incredibly reflective strip all over it. You can't miss somebody wearing a reflective vest. Other things that I love, the glow sticks. You can get them in necklaces, you can get them in bracelets and all sorts of different configurations so that kiddos are visible. And don't limit to the kiddos, let adults wear them too. Yes, we are bigger than our children, but we can still kind of blend in if the area that we're trick-or-treating in is dark. So reflective tape, reflective gear, flashlights. I've seen a lot of, they look like little pumpkins that they're necklaces that blink. things that say, hey, we've got little ones, or hey, we've got big ones walking around enjoying the festivities.
All right, let's talk about one last thing before we go, and it's called the Switch Witch. Who is the Switch Witch?
I love the Switch Witch. So the Switch Witch is a phenomenal way for parents to minimize candy without feeling like the bad guys for taking away the candy. A couple days after Halloween, the Switch Witch comes to visit, and you don't have to call it the Switch Witch. You can call it whatever you want that works for your kids. But the Switch Witch actually takes some of the candy and replaces it with a small toy or a book, whatever your child is interested in. If they're interested in Paw Patrol, a Paw Patrol figure, or Hot Wheels, for things like that. That way you're minimizing, but they don't feel like they're missing out on their candy. And it works really well with especially the younger kids.
Gotcha. So the witch switches the candy for something that's good, that is not actually candy, and will last a little bit longer than any of that stuff anyway.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for your time and your expertise. We so appreciate that. If you missed any of this, it's all going to be in the To Your Wellbeing section of our website, WFMYnews2.com.